Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, we're still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase. Yes, you can attach it to a standard AR-15 Picatinny rail thanks to an adapter like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more, or click the video description. Lastly, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have the Honda Prelude is coming back, but it's utter disappointment for pretty much every enthusiast because it's going to be a hybrid with only two pedals, also known as no manual transmission, and I'm sure they'll sell at least 18 units, maybe 19 in San Francisco. Now, this comes to us thanks to Brian Hurt, who's a writer at The Drive, which at least the vehicle looks pretty good. Now, go ahead and pull up right here. They say that, quote, the Honda Prelude will begin to return to America in 2025, and it'll be a hybrid. And it'll have a mysterious new transmission gimmick for us to play with, also known as a bastardization of the manual transmission, also known as trash. So, I mean, there on the screen, you see the iconic original Honda Prelude, and then you can see the newer one, which almost looks like the bastardized Toyota MR2, stretched out a little bit. Let me know what your thoughts are in the description, or in the comments rather. Or, and perhaps the Honda CRZ, actually, they just made it look a little bit more modern. Now, truth be told, I kind of like it. And again, I think Honda needs this. Let me clarify. Honda needs a pure sports enthusiast car. It also needs a manual transmission. The Honda Civic is great. I love my Gen 10 2018 Honda Civic Si. Only comes with a stick shift, as all enthusiast automobiles should by default. It's great. Unfortunately, with the 11th generation of the Honda Civic, there's no longer any coupes. So now the Honda Civic only comes with 4 doors, which aesthetically looks viscerally disgusting. And yes, while more practical, it's just not really what enthusiasts yearn for. Don't get me wrong, the Honda Civic Type R is an incredible marvel of engineering, but at its core, it's still a passenger vehicle. And, well, shoot, dealerships are destroying it with, $10,000 to $20,000 markup over MSRP, also known as adjustment markup or market adjustment rate, also known as a scam. But again, people keep paying it, so they'll keep doing it. So at least I think this looks a lot better than the Gen 11 Civic. A lot more curves, and of course it's only got 2 doors, and in this particular setup, they have a red paint with black rims, which I think they complemented each other quite well. Now, this would be good if I won the lottery, I would buy this, but obviously you'd have to spend copious amounts of money to do a engine swap. So perhaps put a Type R engine in there, which thank God only comes with the manual transmission. Then that vehicle would be pleasurable. But in this case, no. They are making a vehicle for enthusiasts without the heart of an enthusiast. So this has the body of one, but not the soul. Now, diving into the disappointing article in Disappointing News, they say, quote, Honda's surprise 2023 debut is now official a 2025 launch. The new hybrid sports coupe. I'm sorry, I almost threw up in my mouth there. The Honda, a hybrid sports coupe. Wow. Has seen fit to name Prelude will come to America in late 2025. Oh no, we'll have to wait. No one cares. So, if the notion of a 2-door Civic hybrid floats your boat, you won't have to wait too long for this to sail. And once you're underway, you'll find the Prelude has something to offer that you won't see in any other Honda. While rumors gave birth to a brief hope that it might see a manual transmission in the Prelude, Honda has since shut it down. Ridiculous. We're not surprised, but we're a little disappointed. However, Honda did announce today that the Prelude will be the first Honda delivered with a sporty new drive dubbed S Plus Shift. Presumably, that doesn't stand for shitty shift, but I think most enthusiasts will call it that. Now, Honda described it only as a feature that will be enabling the existing, disgusting, the CVT, the CVT transmission, continuous variable transmission, the thing that kneecapped pretty much any respect for Nissan because they're so utterly unreliable. It'll enable, I can't even get through this sentence, it's so viscerally disgusting. They say, again, Honda described it only as a feature that will enable existing CVT to, quote, deliver, oh, geez, are they inebriated? Are they drinking sake vodka? This is their quote. This CVT transmission will, quote, deliver maximum levels of driver engagement. Also known as bullshit. It's going to be fake, soulless, mentally vacuous. Again, there's a market for this. I'm guessing about 18 people. Again, if you want a pure two-door sports car that's great for the track and actually has a manual transmission, still, I gotta say, bang for buck, Mazda Miata's the way to go. This whole class of racing, amateur racing for that Mazda Miata, they support that vehicle. And they give enthusiasts what they want. But I'll finish reading this disappointing news. Now, they say, quote, as for what's going to power it, well, Honda's not quite consistent on that front too. Honda's 200 horsepower, two-motor hybrid powertrain will sit under the hoods, which, yeah, that's trash. Why go hybrid in that? A 200 horsepower. I'm guessing it'll have a battery. I'm guessing the electric motor will help with the immediate torque off the line, but my Honda 2018 Honda Civic Si, it's got 205 horsepower. Although I did put a K&N and cold air intake, so perhaps 250 because it has a sticker. I'm kidding, it adds like 2 more horsepower, but it does sound fun with the turbo spool up, so it makes me smile. It's worth it. And yes, cliche, I did put the sticker on the little glass window back there. But, I mean, mine is 205 is a pure, just 4 cylinders of greatness with a turbo, which, again, for the Honda Civic, appropriate. But yeah, this hybrid will have 200 horsepower. So you're getting the same horsepower as a regular Honda Civic, which, again, is fine for the Civic, but this is supposed to be a more sporty car. And yet you're taking away this transmission that everyone longs and hopes for. They continue to say, quote, yeah, the two-motor hybrid powertrain will sit under the hood. Yeah, so we're inclined to give the two-door variant a shot, says the Drive. If the Honda Civic if this Civic Hybrid does it with class, perhaps the Prelude will do it with pizzazz. What kind of writers are these? I'm certainly not going to turn my nose up at anything targeted at enthusiasts these days. The pickings are slim. The folks at Honda seem to be stoked at getting the band back together. No, absolutely not. Here's some previews of this disappointment, which, again, I mean, if you're perhaps really inebriated by drinking sake in this case, for a fraction of a second, the back of it almost, don't get me roasted in the comments here, it almost looks like a Porsche 911. A couple of those curvatures, as well as the new font in the Honda and then the cursive Prelude. I mean, for a fraction of a second, it's almost as if they took a quick look at what Germany's up to these days. And, I don't know, just seems so disappointing. Wow, so let's look at the comments. Maybe I'm alone with this assessment. Maybe everyone is saying, oh boy, I can't wait to go buy a Honda Prelude Hybrid with a CVT transmission. Let's dive in. Now, one of the first comments says, from Blueberry, interesting name, says, come on, Honda, we had a 200 horsepower Prelude last millennium, and it had 3 pedals, 5 upvotes, 0 downvotes for that particular comment in the comment section, which, yeah, and again, you don't need a lot of horsepower to have a great vehicle. I think Porsche kind of understands this. They're not chasing 1,000 horsepower 911s. They know that a good balanced vehicle and manual transmission it can make for a great track toy. It doesn't always have to be horsepower. Now, in this case, again, missing what the enthusiasts really want, I think most of the comments here agree. Cologne says, quote, I like the design, but I could not be less enthused with a hybrid with a CVT drivetrain. If this had the Type R running gear, it would be a hit, but it would also sap sales away from the Integra and the Civic, which would it? I don't know. I feel like there's a certain type of profile of people who want a coupe. I mean, not to be cliche, but most people with 4 doors usually have a family, they have some extra needs, they want to throw crap in the back seat more easily. I'm not sure how many sales you would realistically cannibalize from the Civic if the Civic continues to only have 4 doors, which I think is a mistake in and of itself. Again, I think you might have to do a whole new name and concept, but I think there is an opportunity for Honda to have a true sports car that's in the $60,000 to $80,000 price point. Now, obviously, this better not cost a fraction of that because it doesn't have the soul of a sports car, in my opinion. And again, yeah, if they had the Type R engine and transmission, I think, and just maybe a 20% more horsepower, I think this would be very compelling for the enthusiast community. Now, more comments come from Dave Nash says, quote, this seems like a flop from the get-go. We all know that cars don't sell, coupes even worse. This is more of an enthusiast car, and as such, to only offer as a hybrid and a gimmicky CVT as a prior Gen 5 owner myself, it makes it look quite sad. You got 5 upvotes or uplikes. Proto Dad says, quote, love the style, but this is going to be a hard pass for me. Civic drivetrain with a CVT. I had a 2002 Type SH that came with a 5-speed and 200 horsepower. this thing is going to weigh more, and while torque will be a plus because the electric side will help, it's going to be pathetically slow. 5 uploads. Which, again, the downside of especially U.S. government regulations, all these vehicles, they're all weighing more and more because of safety, and yeah, they're becoming less, they're getting worse and worse because of government intervention. That's perhaps a whole other topic in and of itself. But yeah, let's see here. We'll do one more. Scout Dad says, it isn't really a CVT. Honda calls it an e-CVT, and it's a series of hybrid drive and direct drive one-speed transmission depending on the current operating demands. Unless they use a CRV version, which in case has an e-CVT, or a 2-speed depending on the operating demands at the time. I mean, all that sounds like is just disappointment to me. So, I mean, I know they're certainly not expecting a lot to sell because, again, this, I guess, especially for Honda, sports cars are much more niche. Look at the portfolio of Honda. They have 5 core vehicles that really move massive volume. Every once in a while, they deviate with something fun, and I appreciate when they do. But I can't conceive how this would be successful, especially if it's more expensive than the Civic Type R. You're already pushing into nice used Porsche pricing territory or used Corvette with a stick shift, which, yeah, Corvette also acquiesced to an automatic transmission as well, as more and more companies are. Very disappointing. But, I mean, it looks great. And again, I hope Jay Leno, who he famously brags about having more money than brains, which is just kind of his cheeky way of having, wasting money on modifying cars because he knows he won't get his money back out of it. He does really cool things. Like, he was one of the first people on the internet to actually put a twin turbo into one of the first V6 Camaros when the Transformer movie came out. That was really cool. And I hope he does an engine swap with this, because with the right powertrain, this could be a really successful vehicle. I mean, it looks great. And, I mean, you're not going to... I mean, yes, it would be comical to put, cram a Hellcat engine under there. I mean, that'd be hilarious, especially if you're going to stick with that. But in all actuality, maybe, I don't know, maybe a 300, 400 horsepower, straight 6 with a turbo would be good for this situation. But it's just so sad because, again, with this current drivetrain, none of my friends would get it. Yes, that's anecdotally quite small. More than 3. Not to brag, but I do have more than 3 friends. But, I just can't see how this can be a commercial success. And we've been clamoring for Honda to make a sports car for like a decade. I mean, the last real hurrah into like a true dedicated sports car was Honda S2000, which is iconic. They still trade for $20,000 to $30,000 today. I mean, just because, again, yes, it's so lightweight, it's going to be hard to remake that in 2024, 2025 because of regulation and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I can't conceive how this is going to be a commercial success. I mean, let me know. Do you know of your enthusiast friends who really appreciate the driving experience? I mean, also another F- for this, it's a hybrid, which while it's one of the fastest growing segments in the automotive community in the US in terms of average sales, is not good for tracks because most tracks don't have the insurance or the liability insurance or the fire suppression technology to deal with EV batteries and the fires that come with them. So that's another F- in terms of trying to have a hybrid or an EV sports car right now. Don't get me wrong, some of the tracks might adjust that, some of them will adopt those new policies, get the new fire suppression technology, but that's another hurdle to jump through. So this isn't really going to be, I mean, you won't even go on most tracks in the United States. So it seems to be, just from the get-go, I think it's going to be a commercial flop, which sucks because the execs at Honda might see this as a sign to never take any more risk again in terms of going after an enthusiast product. But let me know your thoughts in the comments because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you can click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, to anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.